in the middle of nowhere with pretty much nobody around and a tire that looks like that. What we're talking about today is a little device that can go a long way in making your life easier. Earlier I used to carry one of these, a simple cycle pump, to handle tire inflation problems. They are quite light, the new ones, but they're bulky and they're cumbersome to carry, especially on a motorcycle. And if you ever tried inflating a tire with one of these, you know that it can take quite a bit of effort, especially if you're riding at higher altitudes, you're traveling through the mountains where oxygen levels are low. Then inflating a tire using one of this can be quite a brutal process. So this wasn't a very good solution, and eventually someone on YouTube suggested this little device to me. This is the ResQTech electronic tire inflator. It costs about 1,000 rupees on Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. So a few months ago, after the Jammu and Kashmir debacle, if you guys have seen that video where my friends Himalayan had a puncture 10 kilometers away from Jammu, and we ended up spending 3.5 hours trying to fix it because we didn't have one of these. So after that, I came back and I put this onto my bike and I started using it. I used it through the southern road trip and it was quite useful. Now let me show you how this works. So there are two parts to this device, two components. One is the pump itself, which is this thing which has all of the electronic stuff and the process inside. This has the hose that connects to your tire and also has this long wire that connects to the power source. The second component is the power source itself, which is a direct connection to your motorcycle battery. Because I've been using it, I've already connected it to my battery. But essentially, it's just this little, this is kind of dirty right now. It's been here for a while. And I've put this plastic thing to keep it dry, even though it comes with this cover. Okay, so simple direct connection, positive to positive, negative to the negative. And this little part stays in your battery casing. And whenever you want to use the inflator, you take this side of the wire that's connected to the inflator and you plug these two together. That's your power source. The inflator itself has a gauge in it, so you don't need to carry a separate gauge to measure tire pressure. This is an analog gauge. Some of the more expensive versions of this, not from ResQTech, from other brands, have digital gauges, but this one works quite well. It's fairly accurate. Now all you need to do is open up this and connect this to your tube nozzle. It's done, right? Now the minute you do that, without powering anything on, you will get a reading on the gauge of what your tire pressure is, which currently is zilch. So we're going to inflate this now. Since you're using battery power for this device, it's a good idea to start your motorcycle before you operate it. Okay, now it's going to get a bit noisy, but just press this yellow button and let it do its thing. By the way, this also has this torch. I don't know whether that's very useful. Alright, so that took under 2 minutes to get to about 25 psi. One of the things you need to remember is that this, when you're removing the nozzle, it tends to let out a little bit of air, so it's good to inflate it to a little bit more than the psi that you want to have in your tire at the end. So here you go. There, you can hear the air now as you're releasing it. But that's it, it's done. You need to do this quickly and done. That's it. Tire inflated. This essentially is what you need to carry in your bag. It's really lightweight, so it makes it a good travel solution. and it's very small and compact, so that works too. By the way, it also comes with this kind of power source which plugs into a cigarette lighter, so you can use it on a car, or if your bike happens to have one of those USB chargers that also has the cigarette lighter port, you can plug it in there and you can power it from there as well. Now obviously I know you're thinking this solves only the problem of inflating the tire and not repairing the puncture itself, but usually if you have a flat and it's not a shredded tire and you're not in a terrible situation, you can actually just inflate your tire and keep riding. Maybe do it a few times until you get to a nearby town where you can then fix your flat tire, because trying to fix a puncture in the middle of nowhere is a monumental task and you don't want to be doing that if you can avoid it. Another thing to note is that this is not only useful if you have a flat. There may be times when your tire pressure is low, and this gives you the ability to inflate it wherever you are. When I was in the northeast of India, almost all the petrol pumps didn't have tire pressure points, and the tire shops that were on the highway had those massive attachments that are used for trucks. So I couldn't use that to inflate my tires as well. So I was actually using the cycle pump to inflate my tire and checking with the gauge. Now I can do it using this. So I've been using this for about 4 months now and I've had no trouble with it whatsoever. I've also used it to inflate car tires and it's done that job as well. So I guess it's a solution for bikes and cars, which is pretty cool. It's made my life a lot more convenient, and so I thought it was a good idea to share it with all of you so that more of you could probably carry this if you're traveling. That connector in your battery casing, make sure it stays dry. It's really, really important that that thing is completely waterproof. That's all I have to say about this device, the ResQTech electronic tire inflator. I think that's what it's called. Pretty cool. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.